welcome to another episode of Cosmic Conversations. I am your host, Marla Martenson, and today we're going to talk about a subject I haven't delved into yet. I'm with author, teacher, and healer Bill Foss. Welcome, Bill.
Hi, Marla. How are you today?
Awesome. I'm so happy to be with you because the subject today is Akashic Records. And I am so excited because I am not sure exactly how to work with the Akashic Records. I know what they are, but not sure if I should be delving in or have somebody check into my Akashic Records. So that's what we're going to talk to you about. Can you explain to people what are the Akashic Records and how they are important to our lives and what you do with them?
Okay. Well, sure, Marla. It's really an interesting subject because every so often, as trends go, in marketing and the world and popularity, that in spiritual circles, the Akashic Records surfaces or it comes up. It's like, oh yeah, the Akashic Records.
Right.
And it's very interesting because, and I'll explain why that happens. It comes up and then we fall back asleep with it because no one really goes into it, studies it, and practices it. My job or my path is to really connect with people out into the world, explain the dynamics of the Akashic Records in depth and detail, and this awesome soul connection that you have personally, each and every one of us, including you and I, all the time, 24/7, could never be interrupted, with a natural, organic part of heaven, part of God, an ancient place, an ancient system of record keeping in the higher dimensions that exists up in the upper ethers of the planet, the Akashic Records. Akasha meaning sky library in the ancient texts. And it's very unique. It's just a wonderfully unique dynamic. And in my opinion, it's a lost art, or it's an ancient mystical tradition that connects us back to our original spirituality and has roots all the way back to Atlantis and Lemuria.
Well, interesting, because sometimes I'll go to a one of those spiritual conventions or little fair, psychic fairs or whatever, and then you see someone over, at their table saying Akashic Records. That's what they do. So what would you do if somebody wants a session with you?
If someone asks me for a session, let's say, for instance, someone asks me for a phone session or a Skype session somewhere in the world, then what I usually do is I will ask them for their full birth name, their date of birth, the place, and then I will say a prayer, and I will call in their spirit guides, their soul guides, and the keepers of these records, the ancient masters of the angelics that surround this grand library that's in the higher dimensions. And I'll ask everyone together that myself, my higher self, and their higher self, that we transport up to the records, and I read their records, and I receive a download of pictures, visuals, feelings in my body, stories about what's going on with them in the ways that are right and perfect for that time, for that person at that time. So then I come back, and I'm always astonished and amazed that the information is always so right on. Mm-hmm. And it's always in that trusting and those clear connections that all of this download and this information comes through. And then we start having a conversation where they say, well, this is happening, this, and this is happening in my life. And we've already done a setup on a grand level of why it's happening. Sometimes it comes through from past lives. And somebody has, let's say somebody was a nun or a saint or a beggar in a past life, and they just can't rub two nickels together for whatever reason, and they've had great jobs, and they keep, and they move out of that, or they move away from anything prosperous. And when we go in sometimes, and this is just an example, but for that person who, and there are many of us out there that have been through that, when we go in and we heal that connection and we look through the soul and we isolate that with love and respect and kindness, and we place that connection or that lifetime back in its own place and time respectfully, and point the energy of the soul back to this place and time, because the soul is always trying to balance things that are out of balance with other lifetimes, then we all of a sudden, a dynamic that can happen is almost like an astrological shift for the person. All of a sudden they're able to save, they're able to keep money, and they're able to manifest.
Yeah, because I know some people like that they just are living day to day. I mean, literally, 1 month away from being on the street if they don't scramble every month. They just can't. And people are in their 50s or 60s that just can never, that have skills, bright personality, they're smart. There's no reason for them to be this way, and they just
Right.
keep doing it, and they get frustrated about it. So you're saying it could possibly be from past life, and then you can clean that up.
Right. And I know from personal experience and having gone through a little bit of this earlier in my life, that oftentimes these people are the people that are studying manifesting. They're studying the subconscious. They're visualizing. They're doing affirmations and writing things down. And it's when those things are just barely working or not even working that you start to the mind, like for myself, years ago, I started to question and wonder, what is it? There's a hidden, unique dynamic going on, and this is one of the ways that I found one of the higher dynamics or more intricate dynamics of the records that I wrote about in my book, Journey to the Akashic Records, that hasn't been really touched upon in some of the other books.
Mm-hmm. Well, so are the Akashic records records of each one of us and all of our lives? Is that there before we're born about this life and next life? So are my Akashic records there about what life I'm going to have next? Or do we have to, if when I die, I go over to the other side, do a life review, and then decide if I need to come back in a body again? Or is that already predetermined? Or this is like really, it's hard to wrap our mind around that there's a book there with all of our info in it, in another realm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Marla, to that I want to say yes.
Yes to it all.
And the interesting thing about it is that the with the with the future of this life and the future of other lives, look at it as the signature of your soul, the harmonic signature that makes you who you are. That lovely, creative, happy part of you. And when you go to the other side and you go up into the records and you look with no conflict and you continue practicing to look in, you get to a point where you start to see the real you. And the real you is the soul that's having all the negative and perceived negative and positive experiences, or we could say the colorations of experience, and we can also say considerations of reality. And these are, as you go through and you look at your past lives in respect to where you are now, oftentimes a person can say, okay, yeah, I can see me doing that.
And so many of us have had thousands of past lives, right? So you can't really dig into them all. What is it comes up the most prevalent that might be connected to what's happening now?
It's yes. It can be quite overwhelming. It's a very vast place in essence and in general. So when in my book and working with others, and for anyone that wants to answer the question that you just asked, I would recommend go into your book of life and start there. Just get in somewhere and have an experience with a connection. That's important because once you've established that connection, you can make that connection stronger or clearer or wider.
So how do we get in, Bill? How do we get in?
Well, you have to buy my new book.
Okay, yeah, show it. Let's see it. Put it up right in front of your face there. Journey
this
to
is
the Akashic Records. Wow. A handbook and field guide to the library of your soul's opening your book of
live.
life. Okay, life. Yeah. Wonderful. Ooh, that looks good.
So it's a 400-page source book with 2 glossaries,
Wow.
and don't let that sound overwhelming because I'm a very simple and clear writer. I'm a simple person, and the book is written in a very simple way. So, getting in answer to your question again, Marla, getting into your records, it just takes practice.
Okay.
You know, many people have, excuse me, are having are having experiences in the records during their dream state and are not quite aware of it. But in dream states, we are often connected. We're getting archetypal impressions from the superconscious, conscious, and subconscious parts of our mind. We are connecting with past lives. Mm-hmm. We are getting premonitions from the future, and we are going into the Akashic Records. Mm. So any and all of those are happening. And when you connect with your records and you start practicing, then when you have a dream state, when you have a dream and you go into the records, you'll know what the vibration of it is. It's like a soft place. It's like being on the other side. It's a very reverent or revered place where there's a soft healing energy, and it feels very nice. Mm. It feels like home. It feels like the best version of your living room or your creative your happiest creative space in your life, you know, or in your house. So when you find that on a soul level, and you find that vibration, then your soul can go back there and say, it's only a matter of time. Once you connect in, if you keep practicing, it's only a matter of time before you find your way back there.
Mm-hmm. And so how did you get started in this, interested in being an expert and, you know, journeyer to the Akashic Records?
I, as an artist and musician of many years, and I was working professionally as an artist and musician, with all of the light and the sound and the color involved with doing all of this, I got to a point where the paintings were coming through, and I started to channel elements of things in my paintings, and I realized that it was like there was an invisible world connected to the other side of my paintbrush. That was just the tip of the iceberg. With all of the art and the music that was happening, it became mundane for me. I could keep creating, and people could keep enjoying it, and I could go on and create bigger paintings and to sell for more money. And it wasn't answering a big question mark that I had. And that big question mark was that there's something more. I know there's more. I can feel it, but I just can't put my finger on it. And if you went into my records, or if you looked at me in the Akashic Records, then you would see that I have been a teacher in other lifetimes. I've worked in the records between lifetimes, and when I asked God, I said, God, please show me the way that this all works. I know there's more. And he put some really high truths in front of me in the form of books, and whether it was just the everyday going to a used bookstore and pulling something off a shelf and going, oh my God, I can't believe this. I knew there was more, and that excitement and that inspiration when I found the records was just amazing.
Someone comes and has a session with you. Is this also something that is kind of almost like a life coaching, where they can kind of see the future path, see if they're headed on the right path? A lot of people get confused, especially there's two main things that people always want to know, and I'm a matchmaker, so I always talk about love. People will say, when is my soulmate coming? Am I with the right person? And then the other thing is career and money. They'll ask, what's my life purpose? Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things? So those two would be the main things I think people are constantly wanting a validation on.
I agree. And we can answer those questions. There are oftentimes someone will want to know about the partner they're with, the partner they just left, or who's coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and is that a good idea, or how long is it going to be, and what do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a lot of interesting and colorful information around this, as well as career moves, places to live in the world,
Okay.
where to look for work, and also, I've helped people develop new modalities. New modalities have been downloaded from the Akashic Records,
Okay.
specific for that soul, or a business name,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe like two or three. And it's so gratifying when I'm able to connect somebody with something that they've thought about doing or maybe haven't even considered, and they have it right there and they can get started on it right away. The excitement and the inspiration for that person is like, okay, let's go.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Yeah, a lot of people just can't get started, or they want to do a business, but they don't know how or know the right thing, and then it kind of paralyzes you. Even sometimes me, I've got my own business, I have a lot of things going, but I have too many interests. And my husband will say, do you want to go to the moon too? How many things? And I've got a list here in this little book I was writing down. Okay, I've got to do this, and this. And I have so many interests that sometimes I just get frustrated because I really can't do them all, and have a house and a husband and a dog, and go to the gym and do the business, and then write another book and write my blog post and my newsletter and do another meditation and get out a program and do my radio show at my, it's like, hello. I'm a Gemini, so there's like two people here like, gotta get this done.
I hear you. That's wonderful.
So you think the Akashic Records, if I have a reading with you, I can laser in on what the most important way I should be going, because I'm scattered.
Well, I think so. And let me, if I may,
Okay.
and I'll give you an overview that might answer a big question for you in reference to what you're talking about. So as you say, laser in and stop being scattered, let's go in completely the other direction, and let's turn that inside out and say, instead of lasering in, when you go into the records, and we connect you more into the records when we work together in a session. So let's say you and I'm connected with your records, and there are dynamics of healing and integration that are happening while we're in a session. That's because of my healing energy, and I have offered myself as a healer as well. So these energies are integrating. And could it be that you are right where you need to be, right on target, and that when we connect you more into your soul field that comes down around your body, that you're always connected to, and that you go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing without any conflict or separation, and there's no judgment. And when that happens, the flow of life just gets easier and easier, and you become full. You have less thoughts. You're doing more. You have less emotional responses and less thoughts about what you're doing.
I love it. I already feel so much calmer just when you're telling me that. I already feel like more focused, kind of more like I can do it, with ease.
Yeah. Like everything really is okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's what I do in the moment. And it's all about that soul. You bring that soul connection down. The ego is deep inside of us, and it's a good part of us. It's a strong, healthy part of us. And it's trying to, it's doing the Wizard of Oz job. It's back behind the curtains, and it's pulling the levers and making the big head talk, and it really is trying to manage. That's what it knows how to do.
You guys, can you hear that noise? That's rain at Bill's house. It's rain. Isn't that beautiful? All right. Okay, so Bill, thank you so much for your insight into the Akashic Records. You guys, leave comments below and let us know, have you delved delved in to your Akashic Records. If you want a session with Bill or buy his book or find out more about him, the links are below. Much love to everyone. Do you have any parting words?
Thank you, Marla, for having me on the show, and I just say many, many blessings to everyone out there. I'll see you in the records.
See you there. Bye.